What's up, everybody? It's AJ with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be checking out a replacement surge module for the 50 amp Hughes Autoformer volt booster and surge protector. So this is going to be if it hits a couple surges on you and that module on the inside burns out, you don't have to buy a whole new unit. You can actually open it up and repair it yourself. Let's check it out. Looking at the top section of your Autoformer, you're going to have these 3 rivets here. Now, we don't have them, we replace them with screws because we've already drilled this out, but what you're going to have to do is drill out each one of those rivets to pop this top off. Now, we can loosen this up to get back to the inside. You can also get a kit from Hughes that's going to have the drill bit and the replacement screws just to put it all back together when you're done. But since ours is ready to go, I'm just going to use a ratchet and back out these bolts. With those screws removed, you just take that off. Now you can see the inside. And this is going to be the module we're going to take out, unplug the ribbon, and plugs. Just going to push on the tabs. It releases very easily. Now you might have zip ties on there too that you're going to have to cut because we're going to have to get down to this board on the inside. I'll try and turn it so you can see it a little bit better. We have to replace this as well. And that's going to be a little difficult to get to, but we're going to start cutting zip ties and pulling this out so we can get down in there. The 2 parts that are going to be included are the surge module and this board. You're not going to need this if a surge was to blow this out. You can just plug your new one in where you took out the old one and everything should run just fine. They include this just in case the lights go out on the front and you need to replace that separately. So again, just because this went out doesn't mean you have to do this. So I would plug this in first, check it, make sure it still works before you move on to try and replace this board before you might not need to do it. Now that we've cut some of those zip ties and moved the cables all the way, I'll come back in with my ratcheting wrench and start loosening up these top nuts. I'm just going to go ahead and get the rest by hand. That way I can kind of hold on to it and not let it drop down in there. But if it did, you can just tip it over and get it right back out. So it's not that big a deal, but do the same thing for the one on the other side. We got one more nut down there at the bottom. We're not going to be able to access it with our ratcheting wrench. So what we're going to do is come to the outside where we'll find this head of the screw. Now it's going to be underneath the sticker, so you are going to have to cut out that area to get access to that. But what you can do once you do that is come back with a Phillips head screwdriver. And you're going to have to get one hand down there to kind of hold the nut just so it doesn't turn along with it. But you'll be able to slowly unscrew that screw and get that board out. With the nuts all removed, you can start to try and pry the board out. Now it is in there pretty tight because those screws were threaded through the board, so you might have to pull on a little bit. We used a screwdriver to kind of pry up the side, so just kind of go like that just to get it started, but don't push too hard. You don't want to break the board. There we go, got it out of there. Now you remove the ribbon off the back, and the last part could be difficult because it was glued in. It took us a little bit of pulling on it. What I want to do is come back here with the drill bit and just make these holes a little bit bigger. That's going to be easier to put the screws in when you go to put it back. So just be very careful with this part. It's going to slowly run this through and widen the holes just a little bit. Just like that. And we're going to repeat the process on this one and this one down here. Now we're going to replace that ribbon. Just plug it in here, push it into place, and let's line up our board on the inside. Now before I set the board into place, I want to take these plastic spacers, put them back over the screws. And we're going to have to put it back on the one at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one back through right there. And put that spacer on. I'm going to line up the holes on the board. Looks like it's lined up right there. I'm going to go ahead and put a nut on one of these at the top. After replacing that nut, we're going to go to this one here. I just loosely installed to keep it in place to make this a little bit easier. You're going to have a black spacer you're going to put on first and then add the nut. And that black spacer, you're just going to protect those pins on the other side. I'm going to do my best to set that in place and not cover it up for you so you can see what I'm doing. So I got that spacer on and come back and add the nut. Now to install the last one, I put the Phillips head screwdriver right here on the outside to keep that from turning. With that in place, I can hold the nut down there by the screw and screw it in. Now we'll replace our surge module. So just match the plugs back up. Make sure they snap into place. And then lastly, plug in your ribbon. Now we'll put it all back together. Just push that back down inside. We'll add our cover back on top. Replace our screws to hold it all together. Overall, not too bad to do. Far easier if you just need to replace the surge module. You can pretty much just plug that back in, put it all back together. Now they include that circuit board just in case, so you don't have to replace that at the same time. But if you need to, it's a little bit more involved, but it's not too bad. You can still get it done. And again, you don't have to buy a whole new unit, so that does actually help out. Well, I think that does it. Thanks for hanging out, and I hope this helped.